Hello and welcome back to Plane Time 32. This is segment 2, and our guest here is John Goglia. And if you're Siri, it's Goglia, but it's John Goglia. And John, we're going to dig into this second segment of, and we're going to take advantage of having you here because you're here for a reason and a purpose. And I want to take time to acknowledge and thank our camera operators here. Did I tell you that we're here? We're a volunteer organization.
I've known that, and it thrills me to see the young people on all the cameras.
Our camera 1, 2, and 3, their combined ages is 40. Okay, does that make you feel old? Makes me feel ancient.
You are.
I am. And hey, look who's talking, sir, Dad. But John, the reward, and this is something that we're going to be talking with Obi about, PAMA and the Florida Aviation Network of helping each other, scratching our backs, of getting this information out to the public. But the things that make John Goglia tick, you started was it 10 years old?
I grew up near an airport, so I was, as soon as I could ride a bike and sneak away from my mother, I was at the airport. At an early age, I knew I was going to end up at airports because I just loved it. I was in the hangars, I was up on the flight line. Back then, there was no fences around airports. So, I mean, you could get in and go all around. In fact, I often tell a story that that bicycle that I rode wasn't a new shiny thing because it was a used bike. And over time, I ended up with AN hardware on my bike in a number of places. Not because I knew what AN hardware was, I just knew that when I used those nuts, they didn't come loose.
That was good stuff.
And so I spent a lot of time in hangars like Northeast Airlines, American Airlines, and United Airlines at Logan Airport. And those guys, if I came in when my bike was broken, because we were out riding around, and they fix it. So my affection for airports and airport people started at a very, very early age.
And John, you probably pushed a broom around a time or two, too.
I remember cleaning airplanes at a small airport just to go flying with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd wash airplanes, and that actually had a benefit. And I haven't sold this part of my life, but for over a summer plus washing airplanes and flying with people, I finally had scraped enough money together to take some flying lessons. And I soloed rather quickly, and the instructor and others commented about it. But what's not known is, yes, I soloed quickly because I had a ton of time flying airplanes with other people. And they taught me how to fly, and they taught me how to shoot approaches. And actually, I was landing airplanes with them on guarding it. But so I had a lot of experience long before I took instruction.
We call that non-certified flight instruction. And again, the moral to that story is, John, you were involved. You were around the airport. You got to be there. You can't get this through this. There's a lot of information that can come on this, but in person, I don't think anything will ever make a substitution for person. As much as AI is coming, and it's almost like you're there, but you're not. You got to be at the airport, and I don't know of a computer, AI, or anyone that can go and actually do a brake job on a 737. Okay?
No, but you can learn how to do one before you do it, and all those tools are integrated. So what we have already, and we're going to see it grow immensely, is that integration between AI-generated information and the physically doing the job. And I recently ran into a student pilot, and
was anyone hurt?
No.
Trip you up, John. Go ahead.
He told me a story that when he went for his first lesson, flying lesson, the instructor commented afterwards that he seemed to know an awful lot, and he had actually had a 172 flight simulator program on his computer that he had flown for several years before he took his first flying lesson. And when he got into the airplane, he knew the switches, he knew what to do. And it was substantial enough that the instructor commented. So there is a role for AI and flight
Sure.
simulation in general aviation, in the educational process going forward. But it's not the end all, as you said. You have to be there, you have to do it. But you can get the information beforehand on making that task easier.
You know, something that you just mentioned about the training and so forth. I was talking with a guy the other day, and he was talking about doing some maintenance on his aircraft. And he said, talking about changing a tire. And I said, well, Paul, have you ever changed a tire on your aircraft before? No, but I've seen it done. Well, do you know you can't, even as preventative maintenance, and you can do it legally, but you have to have done it under supervision before and verify that you know how to do it and you're using the right standards and the right procedures. So even, once that baton is handed over and you're able to demonstrate, you're back to the correlation level of learning. And everything, there's not a mechanic out there that signs anything off that they hadn't done before successfully and professionally. And
Right.
that's what drives us, I think, John.
What drives us, the first thing that drives us is the safety. So every job has to be done in a safe manner. Personal safety as well as safety for the airplane that you're working on and the people that are on it. So that's the driving force for mechanics, and the satisfaction that comes with a job when, especially if it's a challenging job, and you finish it and the airplane goes off and flies. You're responsible for the airplane flying, and you need to do a good job. You're liable for what you do, and that some people are not capable of doing that, and those people can work in facilities where the risk is lower as an individual, but still have the satisfaction. When you go into a heavy maintenance facility, and I used to bring reporters in to US Air's hangar in Boston, and at night, and we had airplanes field stripped at night, repacking struts, replacing nose gears. I remember bringing one person in, and the nose gear was right out of the airplane, and they just couldn't believe it, that kind of work was going on. And I also see that now at the competition. In the last segment, we mentioned the competition where I bring mechanics in to Aviation Week's MRO, Maintenance, Repair, and Overhaul trade show here. It's in Orlando this year, next year, both. And I bring them in, and they compete in 27 different areas of testing. We have engines, usually wide-body engines, that they work on, all sorts of pieces. United Airlines brings in a section of a 747 wing that we do multiple tests on. And one of the things that I find amazing sometimes is this show draws about 14,000 people that are somehow connected to aviation. And every year there's some that come up to me and say that they had no idea that we accomplish all this tasks that we do. And my answer to that is, you work in aviation, you don't know what aviation maintenance does, but sometimes you have to bite your tongue.
Yep, you bite your tongue and you choose your battles, but the biggest thing is they were there to ask the question, so maybe we can get them back. But I didn't realize it was that well attended.
Yes, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it. We had it, when I first took it over, it was at another venue, and I said, this is not the right venue. In fact, I tried to get that venue changed earlier and was not successful. But when I finally was successful bringing it to MRO, which is the common way that's referred to, the ball game changed. We had a lot of support. It costs a lot of money to put on the show. I won't go into that here, but it costs a lot of money to put it on. So thank God we have a lot of support from a lot of different business entities to help us do it. And our program, the Aerospace Maintenance Competition, is like this facility. It is volunteer run. All of us, nobody gets paid. None of us. We do it out of a labor of love. We want to help new people come into the business, and we want to help get those of us that are in the business recognized for what we bring to the table. And that's been lacking for my whole career up until just recently. So,
Well, and John, the pay, we mentioned the pay scale on the first go around, at 25 to 30 to start, and at 120 normal, and some as much as 200,000 a year to be an aircraft mechanic, with benefits usually if you're
Yes.
one with the big majors. But the thing is that the job aspect is, if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life. I mean, I didn't create that, but I'm going to use it because it works.
It does work. People ask me how I do what I do. Well, I don't work. I'm having fun. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing what I love. So I'm on the road constantly. Unfortunately, I'm at a point in life where I can do that. You know, I unfortunately lost my wife years ago, and now I'm filled up my time and my efforts trying to get a lot of things done for my fellow mechanics.
Yeah, she's watching you. I remember Patricia. She was the supporter for you and still is, because I see a lot of that drive in you. So I tell you, the national the awards, the trophy. I want to hear about this trophy from the National Aviation Awards.
All right, so one of the things that flowed out of my getting enshrined in the National Aviation Hall of Fame, which was a total shock, and this is their pin on my lapel. I don't know if you can zero
Well
in.
deserved, I got it.
And one of the things that flowed out of that was an offer from the National Aeronautics Association to have a trophy for mechanics in their stable of trophies. They have like 5 trophies. And the big deals are not insignificant, the Collier Trophy being one of them. And they have offered us to have a trophy for mechanics that will be housed in the Smithsonian downtown. Once a year, we will have a dinner in D.C.,
That's first class.
black tie dinner, where they will announce the winner of the trophy. As I speak right now, the trophy is being designed and built by mechanics at West Star Aviation. So we have to fund the trophy, and we need $200,000. We have over $80,000 right now, and there's a committee going around to fund it, and we'll have it forever.
Well, and that's the kind of forward thinking that I love that you bring to the organization. Is it's not just about us, and you can look in the past, but we're looking at the future, and you know the national. The Aviation Hall of Fame is just one way to recognize the folks that have made this contribution to the industry, and we need to stand them up. A lot of folks don't realize, and I'll mention a name that everybody knows: Chuck Yeager in aviation. Everybody knows Chuck Yeager. What they don't know about Chuck Yeager is he was a mechanic. That was his role in the Army. He was a mechanic, and he explained to me one day that if the reason that he was so successful as a pilot and an operator is his knowledge of the structures and the systems of the aircraft that he learned through maintenance. And that's why the ultimate airman, woman, man, it doesn't matter, is know how it works, know how to fix it. And Story Musgrave, John, have you met Story Musgrave?
No, I have not.
Story Musgrave is a very interesting guy, and I would love to get you two in the same room. The amount of energy pinging back and forth would be just remarkable. But
Set it up.
Story, he cut his teeth in maintenance on a farm in Connecticut, working on farm equipment. And he said, I like to see how things, I like to know how it works, I like to be able to go in and fix it. That took him into aviation maintenance. It took him into the medical maintenance, working on our bodies. He was a brain surgeon, trauma surgeon. So, very interesting mechanic that knows how to work on things and how to fix things. And to hear it come out of him, it's remarkable. But
Well, you know what? I have another story that fits right in with that.
talk to me.
One of our major airlines, when I was working the maintenance human factors programs and pushing them pretty heavily throughout the industry, one of our major airlines developed a very, very substantial maintenance resource management program. It changed from the name morphed from human factors to maintenance resource management. And part of their organization is they would sell their services. So they would sell B checks, C checks to other airlines. Well, they ended up selling their maintenance resource management to hospitals for that very reason, because people make mistakes, and it's people working with their hands and their head. And they were very successful at selling that program to a number of hospitals because the activity is similar. You know, it has to be tweaked to fit the skills that you're doing, but the point is that all of us that use our head and our hands to accomplish something are subject to making mistakes, and there are processes and programs to help us not make those mistakes.
And the subject of sharing our aviation safety management is to the hospitals. It doesn't really make that much sense to you unless you're the one that gets the wrong leg cut off. Okay, until it affects you or reaches out and touches you or your family, that's nice to read about, but it's very, very true attention to detail. John, we would like to delve into the flight safety detective aspect of what you and Craig Fife do, and a little bit of case study, but usually it's coming up with probably one or two items inside an accident to really dig out and bring it out of how we don't do this again, try not to repeat it.
Well, you know, every accident is a chain of events, and that events are things that are wrong. And you know, some of those chains can be quite long. And I remember in the ValueJet accident that happened not too far from where we are right now in Orlando, there was 8 major things that failed in that chain. So what we will do is we'll pick an accident. What we don't do all 8 of them. We will spend the 45 minutes to an hour of our program, we will spend on 1 or 2 pieces, very focused, lots of detail. That's the advantage that Greg and I bring to the table of all the years that we had at the NTSB and all the data that we've collected and what we can get out of the archives. And we can talk about all the backstories and all the pieces that come to it. Almost all the talking heads on TV and many of the ones that are on YouTube channels, Captain this guy and so on, they hit the high points and oftentimes get it wrong, which really is sad. But you know, it's life. Especially on the computer, on the internet, you really have to take everything you see with a grain of salt. We go to great lengths to be as accurate as we can be. We don't speculate, or if we feel like we need to raise something that's speculative, then we will clearly identify it before we say it. That we'll speculate on a cause, or we'll speculate on what happened in the cockpit before the crash, something like that. But we're very clear when we speculate, and we stick to the facts.
And John, I tuned in and listened to a couple of your podcasts, and one thing I do have to admit is sometimes you're not always politically correct in some of your deliveries. I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
When I went to school, I flunked politically correctness. And if there was a grade lower than F, I would get it. Because trust me, I don't hold my tongue or my thoughts at all. And I might be wrong.
But if you're wrong, you like to be challenged.
Right, I'll be corrected. I change. Sure. If I'm wrong, you show me I'm wrong, I change. In fact, my time at the NTSB, I was open. Unlike some government people, I was open. My home phone number's published, still is. My cell phone was out in the open, everybody had it. We had it posted on my MTSB website, actually. You didn't even have to get anybody. You could just log on, and there was my phone number, contact. I answered my own phone. I've had people that work for congressmen call at late hours, and one in particular called me, and it was like 9 o'clock at night, and it was a woman that worked for a congressman, and she said, I told Peter, the congressman's name, I told Peter if you were in town, you'd answer this phone. And I did. I was accessible. Tell me what's going on. I'll digest what you tell me. I'll determine whether or not I was wrong, and I was wrong, and I corrected.
And I've heard you tell people before that you're full of goo,
Yeah.
and it wasn't goo, but
Well, that's not an aviation term. I used the correct aviation term.
but oh, John, and again the flight safety detectives, the case studies. Greg Feith does a good job, and
And
you're
even
so
Todd,
busy.
we have a third party, Todd Curtis. He's an MIT educated person, worked for Boeing and others, and he brings another balance to the three of us. So we have a pilot type that's strong, we have a maintenance person that's strong, and we have the engineering side and the manufacturing side that's strong. So we balance off one another.
It's a stool. It's a three-legged stool.
Yeah.
But the awards, John, and we want to really dig out. If you know of a mechanic that does a really, really good job, please recognize them. There's a lot of awards. General Aviation Awards program is always actively seeking folks to recognize in this industry. So
I actually won the GA Mechanic of the Year award in 1994, I believe. I could be wrong with that year, but I think it was 94.
it was a ways back, but I remember it as well. And we're going to find out a lot more about how to share this information, because you having all the knowledge in your head, me having some knowledge, not near as much as you, but how to get that and share it with people.
You lost it all. See, I still have a little left.
Well,
but you
yeah,
lost it all.
Yeah, this is nothing but a solar panel at this point.
You need more powder. Get makeup over here.
Powder. I'm going to wear the wig next time we get together. But Obi Young is the director and kind of the brawn behind our production aspect here. We're going to have you at Sun and Fun. You're one of our guests there.
Yeah.
And you want to discuss with Obi, and he's going to kick and scream and claw, but we're going to get him on the set as well. And I'm going to mediate. I'm going to try to calm him down and cheer him up a little bit, but how we're going to help each other. We're going to feed off each other, because every now and then you need to have some video work done. We have video people that love to do this for fun, but it's also, they could be doing it for a living. Some of our folks have gone on professionally and making a very, very good career in productions. So we have these young folks.
Isn't that
trained.
satisfying when you see them go on and do it? In the earlier segment, I talked about the person who competed for 2 years, and then we saw them close the hatch on SpaceX's first manned launch. And what a feeling.
Yeah.
It is so rewarding.
You're making a difference, and we're going to continue to make that difference. And I'm looking forward to the.
And we have information to share.
Oh, yeah.
If people would listen, that's all we want. We want people to listen and understand, either the rules or the people that made mistakes and screwed up on those rules. We're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. The idea is to understand them before they happen and work towards preventing them from happening.
The Dirty Dozen. It's a great checklist.
Yes.
And there's a two-sided checklist that is still good. The FAA puts out. And
The
for
Dirty
maintenance.
Dozen and the bad practices and the good practices. I remember when we drew those up with Gordon DuPont from Transport Canada.
Sure did.
Right. So, I mean,
You are old.
I won't tell you when I soloed.
Oh no, John, it's not old. You're seasoned and you're experienced, and we want to use you up at least for another 15, maybe even 20 years. You can do it. You can do it.
I think that's a stretch.
We're going to offload some of the responsibility for your board of directors for PAMA. We're going to spread the love around a little bit, give everybody a chance to do some of the work.
No, we're just going to do more work because there's more to do. I'm on a mission to get all of us maintainers recognized for what we bring to the table. I mean, it's sweet and simple. Did I start out like that? No. Did I even understand that? No. But I'll tell you, sometime after I got the Mechanic of the Year award, the light bulb went on. That, I for whatever reason, I'm the one out there. I'm considered, the face of maintenance. God help us. The point was driven home. Bob Crandall, American Airlines. I ran into him at an event in Washington, and he came right over to me. He had just been fined by the FAA, and part of the reason why he was fined was he allowed early buyouts for a whole bunch of his senior mechanics. It was the first time he let mechanics take the buyout. All the other groups in the airlines took a buyout. And he came up to me and he's, "Your mechanics, I never should have let your mechanics go." And he's poking me in the chest, right? Because he lost that institutional knowledge at the working level inside of his hangars, inside of their operation. And because of it, they lost sight of a number of things, and the FAA came in and fined him for it.
Well,
and we're talking about some serious millions of dollars of fines. So I can understand why he was unhappy.
The oversight, that's one of the rules. That's one of the jobs of the FAA is oversight. And every now and then you have to use that oversight, unfortunately. But for the FAA, we actually, I'm proud to have been with the organization. I learned an awful lot. Proud to have been with the NTSB. Learned an awful lot. Worst job in my world, in my life, but the most rewarding and challenging job that I ever had.
Emotionally tough, yes.
Yeah, it's people say, "You're with the NTSB. How do you like your job?" I says, "No, I don't. But I enjoy the reward and the challenge."
You have to cry it out.
Sure.
You know, if you're human and you go to a crash site and you see what you see,
if you're human,
right? If you're human, you have to unload it someplace.
Yeah.
If you don't unload it, you're going to crack.
That's right.
And I said it earlier in the earlier segment that I've been in the hotel with investigators, including myself, all crying.
Yep.
I've had Alpa in the rooms crying. I mean, if you care about aviation and care about people, you can't help but get.
Yeah, and it's the exception, not the rule. Not everybody's going to have an accident, but when we do have an accident, we need to get as much knowledge out of it as possible and educate and try to prevent it from happening again, prevent reoccurrence. John, as we wind it down, we're not going to say adios or we're going to say see you later. We're not going to say bye.
Next month.
And we've got a lot to do. We've got a lot to do, but I think we're going to do it. Your health is good. You're looking good, except for your hair job, your hairdo. We got to get with your makeup man and woman. But other than that,
I'm disappointed. When I did my HBO show, they had wardrobe and makeup and all that stuff. We don't have any of that here.
Hey,
Opie, what are we doing wrong?
Speaking of which, go to the HBO special, the rehearsal,
Rehearsal 2.
And you might see another face that you recognize there. But thank you very much, so much. And John, we'll see you soon.
Next month.
Yes, sir. And we are going to remind you to jot down this code for your FAA Wings program credits. And it's always a pleasure to bring you information, particularly. It's not every day that you have one of the NTSB board members here as a guest. Look him up. He's the real deal. PAMA, the AMC competition, AMCC competition. See you there.